Hello, everyone. Hello for another episode of No Particular Reason. I am your host, Yankov, with our co-host, Kerri Lewis, who is a addiction coach and also my wonderful friend. And we also have a special friend today with us. Um, his name is Rajai, and we're gonna bring him in right now. So here is Raj, and we know Raj from a local holistic healing group that we connected with. Raj, it's a seasoned quantum energy healing entrepreneur who's been on the front line of frequency-based wellness since 2016. So his work with innovative frequency-based tools, Raj has been helping thousands of people so far to achieve a quality of life. So go ahead, Raj. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Yanko, appreciate it. Kerri, great to meet you. I'm glad to be here and love to kind of just, shoot the breeze with you guys and kind of get to know you guys a little bit more too. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I love it. And so, first off, I'm going to jump into the community and say thank you. Again, this is what, episode 13, I think?
Yep.
Crazy. And secondly, this is my first time meeting Raj along with all of you guys. So, I'm super excited to learn all about how he shows up in service and helps people really with energy, right? Because that's what we are. We're vibrational beings. We all know that by now. And as you continue to work toward raising your vibration and your frequency, you experience life more joyfully, more healthy, really all aspects of your life. So I'm super excited to unpack with you, Raj. Can I ask, how did you get into this field initially?
That's a great question, and that's actually a great place to start. So 2016, actually 2015, late 2015, I was working regular job. I wasn't doing anything special. The job was very, very stressful, and things weren't going all that great in my life. I mean, I was dealing with chronic fatigue, foggy brain. My adrenals were shot. I pretty much was burnt out, no energy, couldn't focus, couldn't concentrate, panic attacks. I had a 2-hour panic attack on a plane ride.
Wow.
I developed chest pain daily, tingling numbness in my arm. I had a blood clot in my leg, started my calf, went up to my groin, lump under my armpit about that big, and I was dealing with depression, real bad. So
Wow, you were a hot mess express.
I was a hot mess for sure. So here I was kind of dealing with all this stuff, and every day was a struggle. One particular day was a really bad day, and that was like it for me. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I was like, look, why the hell am I even here? I'm not having fun. I'm not enjoying myself. I feel empty, you know?
Yeah.
And so my plan that night was to go home, drink a full bottle of whiskey, take a bunch of pills, and just get me the hell out of here. Well, I'm driving home with that intention, and literally a voice came in, says, "Go to this place." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm not going anywhere. I'm done. I'm going straight to that bottle." But it came back 2 more times, and I have a big thing about 3, the number 3. Anytime the universe throws the number 3 at me, I pay attention.
Yep.
And so I said, okay, fine. I reroute, show up this little gift shop. And in the yoga room, they had a group of about 8, 9, 10 people or something like that. And they were doing a presentation on a pulse electromagnetic frequency device. Okay. First and last time they were there. I had never seen it before, never tried it before. I didn't really go to this place all that often. I'd stop in maybe a couple times a year. But I crashed their presentation. I listened to what they had to say, and it sounded very, very interesting. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. But before I left, they offered me a session on the mat. So I laid on this mat. It puts out a field, goes right through your body, and it tunes your body like a tuning fork.
Mm-hmm.
I felt nothing. So in my mind, nothing had really changed, but I was driving home with the same intention. By the time I got home, I was dozing off at the wheel. I could not keep my eyes open. I had like a detox kind of in my body. And when you have a heavy detox, a rapid heavy detox, a lot of times you get very, very fatigued and your body just wants to go to bed. And that's what happened to me. And so I just couldn't follow through with what I was planning on doing, went straight to bed, woke up 4 hours later, felt totally different, felt refreshed, rejuvenated. And that kind of piqued my interest, started looking into it. I eventually got my own device, started using it daily within 5 days. My lump, which had been there for 4 months, disappeared. All my issues went away, chronic fatigue, foggy brain, blah, 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 whatever. It just really helped my body. It put my body in a position to where the body can heal itself. And the body, your body, every person, your body is a master healing machine and can heal itself given the opportunity. If you give it the right environment that's required for that to happen, it can happen.
Yeah.
So,
I love that so much.
yeah.
I mean, everything's the right environment, right? The words that we speak is cultivating an environment, but obviously the energy that we surround ourselves with. And then, of course, when you don't know any of this and you're so mired in suffering, physical, mental, spiritual, things like this, it are very beneficial to get people to start to at least get curious about having different ways of experiencing how we can heal ourselves, which, in America, we're used to Western medicine, which,
Right.
only does so much. So you're interested in this, and then what? You just got results and wanted to start to share with people?
Yeah, pretty much. I couldn't keep my mouth shut, so I got excited about the results I saw, and then I started sharing it with people. I eventually quit my job. Like about a year later, I quit my job and kind of started doing this full time. I've added other devices now. I work with different modalities, different devices, and then eventually I got to a point where I cultivated my own energy healing as well. So I could do energy work personally, as Yanko knows, but I primarily want to help people really understand the principles behind frequency, energy, and vibration, and how everything's connected, and how these devices can help to modulate your own body's ability and support your body in any way that that's needed to help your body do what it can normally naturally do. But sometimes we need help, and as you know, people are struggling. People are stressed out, burnt out, not healthy, don't feel good, tired, don't have the bandwidth to even like kind of raise their own vibration, because we can do that, right? Naturally, but it does take work and commitment. And this is kind of like a hack. It's a way to get you there very quickly through like an outside source, right?
Yeah.
I've had people tell me doing 15-minute session of one of these devices that I use feels like they've meditated for 2 hours.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead. Sorry,
Go ahead.
Yanko.
I was gonna say I am true believer of frequency, because like you can mimic like other things, or there's possibilities for other things that you can mimic, but I don't think you can, like change frequency that drastically to take it from one to make it on something else. And in me experiencing frequencies, and I had an experience with one of his mats in one of our meetings. He brought it up, and that thing was in grounding mode. Is it a grounding mode? What do you call it?
Well, the mat I use has 5 different programs. There is a relax mode. There's a relax, transform, synchronize, so like rhythmic systems in the body, energize, and there's one more. But so they'll all kind of ground you in a way, but each program is designed to do certain things. And so you will feel grounded. A lot of people will feel grounded. Some
Right.
people actually do feel like their body, like they
No,
are,
I felt like I was being pulled down the chair, like literally like taken and pulled down. I was like, whoa,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that was an interesting experience to me because like you can in even back in the day, people were using frequencies with singing bowls and other things to transform and do different things. So yeah.
yeah, chanting, singing bowls, dancing. I mean, literally, you can change your vibration, your frequency, just with your thoughts, your emotions. I mean,
Movement.
and you know, like what you choose to do can shift you, right?
Yeah. So this is so Raj. So I, we haven't really formally met outside of this conversation, but I work in mental health and addiction, right?
Yeah.
So I work with the very, the people who are struggling in very low vibration, shame, guilt, fear,
Mhm.
apathy, and I love tools and singing, but all of the tools, right? All the tools that can help people. But would you?
Oh, you froze up, Kerri.
Yeah, she froze up. We'll give her a chance to reconnect.
Okay.
So and yeah, I was gonna say let's take a minute when she comes back in talk about. I know earlier before we started the show, you mentioned that there's something going on. You have an event going on. You want to tell our viewers about that event that you have going on?
Yeah, tomorrow we have the company I work with. They're having a global event, and they're going to bring on the top experts in what they call PEMF, pulse electromagnetic frequency devices, and they're most of them are based out of Europe. So we're talking Germany, places like that, and we're actually giving away 3 devices for people that are on. Hopefully, I'm a lucky winner, but it's a this is a frequency device. It's a wearable device. It's the world's smallest PEMF device that you can wear, and this puts out the Schumann resonance, and also you can they'll have packages for like your organs, chakra frequencies, planetary frequencies, Rife frequencies. So you can program it to where you could run different frequencies at different times. So we're giving away 3 of these for people that are on the call. It's a Zoom call, and you can follow me. You can go to my Facebook. It's Rajai Rajai Kaldani, Kaldani, and I have my event on my timeline. Or you can go to getthefrequency.com and scroll down, and there's a Centropics calendar. And so it's tomorrow, June 1st, June 1st, 11 a.m. Central Time.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring up this barcode scanner for any of our viewers that want to scan it. It'll get them to your contact information, so they might be able to just scan the barcode and be able to get to your contact where they can find more about it. It's really interesting that you're doing that because when I first heard about it too um, through our local meetup, we
Yeah,
were talking about people that were suffering with Wi-Fi exposure and how that device helps them that are sensitive to different energies like 5G and things like that. You want
yeah.
to talk about a little more about this? And then I want to say also hi to Tarek. Thanks for showing up today, man. We're happy to see you.
Hey, Terry. Yeah, so everything is frequency, energy, and vibration, including things like 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi, and all that. But the problem with that kind of frequency is it's not really designed for. It doesn't support human biology, and it's very chaotic. So you have a lot of chaotic information, and so what something like this will do is it will create a bubble around you, and it's actually called the bubble. By the way, these are about $1,500 a piece. So, if you want to win one, you definitely jump on the call tomorrow. But and it puts out bio-friendly frequencies that support your cells, that kind of reinforce your own field to where your aura is strengthened, right? And your aura is kind of like a layer of protection for things around you, right? Whether it's negative people or negative frequencies from your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and all that. So the way I like to think of it is this is kind of resetting your cells to where they should be versus being immersed in a soup of chaotic frequencies that are really not designed to promote or to really resonate with your body. They're designed for something totally different.
Totally. I understand because like I'm also an amateur radio that's operator. That's a hobby of mine.
Mm.
And so I operate radios and I do different frequencies and being sensitive to energy, not only frequencies, I'm usually sensing 7.015 around that frequency. It's they call it a 40-meter spectrum.
Yeah.
And so I know that when you're really sensitive, that could be like, and that's for oversensitive people. So I can only share my experience, but I don't know like how other people and how sensitive they are to different frequencies. In the way I can probably understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's basically creating the bubble around you that cancels out this other frequency, so you're not getting constantly nuked, and you're not as much as like suffering because like things are happening around your body.
Yeah, that's part of it, but also proximity. When you're wearing this, right, it's right on you, and it's supporting your body in that way, right? So it's putting out a coherent frequency that your body can resonate with, to where now any incoming frequencies have to compete with that, and it's almost kind of like when two energies come together, there's a little pushback, right? But you can cancel a signal, right, with a similar signal, or you could amplify.
Right.
We're doing a little bit of both, right? You're amplifying and you're canceling.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks for the clarification. Because I kind of had an idea of like maybe it's canceling it off.
Yeah.
Because, in my mind, it's almost like modern Wi Fi. It's channelized and you have like certain channels and frequencies you have to be on. And so when your neighbor it's on the same frequency as your Wi-Fi ain't work that good because they're canceling out with the other Wi-Fi that's around.
Yeah,
So in my mind,
there's
yeah,
interference, right, between the two signals, and
right,
yeah, absolutely.
wonderful, yeah. Well, go ahead and I don't know if you want to talk about a little more of like how you actually doing hands-on energy healing and all that. Like,
Yeah,
how did you go ahead?
I get started with the energy healing.
Mm-hmm.
How you go about doing it?
Well, maybe pick a spot and how did you like found out that I know you started with your story and you experienced that transformation that you got. And when did you notice that you're like able to actually play with different frequencies and do this sort of thing yourself?
I just kind of started getting around certain people that were kind of into frequency, energy healing, that kind of thing. And eventually I got attuned for Reiki, but I really wasn't using it. And early on, right after I got attuned, I would just kind of use it on myself, but that's about it. And then every now and then I would kind of play around with it with other people, and people started to tell me like, man, you have really potent, powerful energy that, usually when other people work on them, a lot of times they don't feel anything, but they feel it with me. And my first time that I actually kind of worked on someone, it was just a random thing, and it was kind of like maybe I'll share the story with you. So I used to go to this bar kind of on a regular basis, and I knew the bartender, and she had all kinds of health issues from very early on. She complicated birth and all that kind of stuff. And one day I walk in, and I had a crystal in my pocket, and she's behind the bar, and she doesn't look good. I mean, as soon as I walk up to the bar, I'm like, "Hey, are you okay? Or what's happening with you?" And she was like, "I don't know. I feel like my heart's gonna jump out of my chest. I'm having like really bad pains. I'm feeling lightheaded. I feel like I'm gonna pass out, and I just don't feel good." And so I just kind of went in action. It was kind of crazy. Something just said, "Hey, ask her for her hand." So I said, "Here, give me your hand real quick." And so she put her hand out, And I didn't, I just put one hand behind hers, not touching, and then I grabbed my crystal and I started channeling energy. And I wouldn't call it Reiki, it was just kind of doing my own thing. And I was
Right.
kind of envisioning where this energy flow was going in her body. And now my eyes are closed and I'm just trusting it. And I'm just kind of channeling that energy through this crystal. And suddenly I hear a scream. So she screams, and I open up my eyes, and she pulls away, and I'm like, "Oh, what did I do?" I'm like, "I'm not sure what I did here, right?" But she walked away, and she went towards the back, and she came back. She whispered something to the owner that was sitting there, and they kind of go back in the back again. Then they come back, and she looks totally different. And she goes, "All right, you ready for some shots?" And I'm like, "Sure, but what happened? Like, why'd you scream?
Yeah.
And why did you like run away and come back? And what? I really wasn't trying. I wasn't sure what was happening." So she was like, "Well, when you were doing that thing with the crystal you had, I felt a piercing, hot, piercing sensation in my hand, and that's why I pulled my hand away. And then I had a swirling sensation in my head, and that's what I was actually doing. I was working on her head at the time. That's what I was envisioning in like my mind's eye. And she says, I pulled away. I went to the back, and I came back, and I feel great. She's like, all my heart settled down. My head just felt clear, and that was like my first time really working on someone. So
Wonderful.
yeah,
And here is Kerri back. Kerri, you want to ask that question again? It seemed
Well,
like
I
you dropped
certainly,
out there.
I do love to make entrances, guys. For the community, thank you so much for the great part, and it's really important. And that's what we got today. So, Raj, my question is: we have all of these tools and these strategies to raise our vibration, and I love them all. But what are your thoughts on the fact that it still requires effort on each individual's part to take ownership of their own vibration so that they can experience freedom from suffering, because that's essentially what you're helping people do, right? Is break free from suffering, whether it's mental, physical, or energetic.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, look, we all in the end need to take responsibility, right, for who we are, how we show up in the world, everything that we do. However, sometimes we can't help ourselves, and we need that push, that boost, and so like one thing I love about what I do, like when I have a mat that I use, and just about every person I put on, it's almost like I would say almost 100% say they feel super super relaxed once they're on it, right? And so for people that are anxious, anxiety, people that have maybe have whatever it is, any kind of emotional or mental pain, it hits them right away. And so we could take someone from being stressed out to not stressed out. So right? So you have your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. We could actually shift their physiology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that resonates a lot with me because it's the same thing. If you're in the hole, you can't see outside the hole. Like
Right.
sometimes you need that little hand to pull you out of the hole.
Yeah.
And I know what you're talking about exactly. Like when you're there, you feel like you're trapped, like you have no other choices, like there's nothing else. And the same I see a lot that when you're like stressed out, then you tense your body and you kind of do this because you're like
Right.
your mind, your consciousness reflects to your body. So a lot of the times I tell people like when you relax your body, that also relaxes your mind because they're both connected. You're, mind, body, spirit, being that you're operate that way.
100%. Yeah. I mean, everything's connected. And that's why stress, managing your own stress is huge, because stress is one of the biggest killers out there. As a matter of fact, I think it's worse than most things out there. Right? Being fight or flight, or rest and digest. You can't be in both. Right? If you're in fight or flight, your body can't heal. You're not in the right mindset. It's a totally different mindset, right? Versus a rest and digest mindset, where you could be more creative, you could be more at ease, relaxed, and it's totally different.
Yep. 100%. That resonates with me, and I see it a lot with people around me, and I completely understand. And this is why I give that example with, like, when you tense, like when you get angry or whatever emotion you're feeling, you kind of tense your muscles, and you get to that point. And so, just like anything else, I love that there is variety of tools for everyone to choose from and work with, because, like, there's not a single way or right or wrong way to do things. You just have to find what resonates for you, or what works for you. So I experiment a lot personally with different things that I see, and then in the end, I see what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And so, to take it a step further and tell our audience how that works with hypnotism, is that, the trance state is a trance state. It puts you in an outer state of mind. And so, either if you're using a singing balls, or if you're, like, getting Reiki or something else that changes your mode of operation, or using the mats or something else to help you get to that outer state, where you shift from sympathetic to parasympathetic system, and the process starts to work. You're getting to your destination. You're just using a different method of transportation. That's at least how I think of it.
Absolutely. So what have you found? What's your favorite kind of method to kind of put you in that, rest and digest state there?
And I want to bring Tarek, that says so true. Thank you for being with us, though. We haven't lost you as a viewer. We appreciate you spending the time with us. So, and to all of our viewers, we encourage you to share your comments, thoughts, comment, ask us questions, and we can even bring you in and chat with you, and help you answer any questions that you might have, either Brash or to me and anybody. So, the best way I do it, Brash, to answer your question, is to just kind of go within. I sit and meditate, and I notice that when I do that, I go in outer state of being, like I just feel it, and then I can center at different parts of the body and sense what's going on in the body. If there's, like, a tension or something else, or if there's, like, and it doesn't have to be a feeling to me. It could be a smell, sense, anything that comes up, and I usually try to balance it whatever way it comes out, and see what is that about. Almost like exploration.
Sure. Now, you said you were very energy sensitive. Have you always been that way, or did you develop that over time?
No, that happened to me a couple years back. I had a near-death experience, and right after that, everything changed for me, and I even changed the way I was um, having relationship with food or anything, because I was, like, overweighted at the time. I couldn't bend over to tie my shoes. Um, and I had back pain because my gut was too big. It was pulling. And so when I go to lay down and rest, the muscles on the back will, like, relax. And the doctor just said, "Hey, here's some steroids for you. That'll do." And I said, "No." Like, I look at the side effects. I was like, "No, I gotta, like, change my lifestyle." And so everything kind of took off from there, and that's what also led me into meditation.
Wow.
And I think maybe I was always sensitive to energies and other things, because, like, if I think about it, like, I can sense, like you said, with that girl in the bar, Like I
Yeah.
can get in the room and kind of get a sense of feel of like what's going on in the room, like
Yeah.
some kind of empathy, or if there's something wrong with somebody, and I can just go and be like, "Hey, you okay, man? Like, what's going on?"
Right.
And recently, I've also been experimenting with that too, because like not everything that I feel belongs to me. Like I might feel somebody else's stuff and mistakenly take it for my own stuff and be like, well, why am I feeling this? So now I'm going, instead of like, why am I feeling this, to like, is this really me feeling that? Or is this something that it's produced with me, or if this is like something else. And I had an experience when I'm like working next to somebody and then I'm feeling like anxious and stuff, and I know that there's no reason for me to feel that way in that very moment. So I turn around and say, you okay? Like, you're feeling anxious, or what's going on here? And he
Right.
kind of like looks me up and says, yeah. And I said, all right, well, what's going on? I don't like that feeling. I said to him.
Right. Yeah. 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 I mean,
Does
look, I mean,
that
some people
does
are
that
very.
answer your question?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, more people are. This is more common than most people think. You know, we
Mm,
all pick up on other people's fields, right? We are not always aware of them, and yeah, it's good on you that now you're asking, hey, is this mine or someone else's? And
right,
because a lot of times we do take on other people's stuff that we really shouldn't, um,
right.
or at least be aware of it. That's not me, right? That's I'm picking up, so and so. But we all pick up on this stuff. I mean, how many times have we gone into a room with a bunch of people and we get around certain people and we just get a certain feeling, or
Yep,
we respond to that energy that's there.
that's right. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious to find out, do you also sense that kind of stuff, like what's yours and what's not yours, and like,
I've had that experience. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so you're kind of like, how are you managing that? Like, if you have to give somebody an advice of like, how do you even come to that conclusion? How did you find out that, hey, that's not actually me? Was that by just like doing a lot of self work, or?
A little bit of that, but also knowing, hey, I know someone else is feeling this. Why am I feeling it? Suddenly,
Hmm,
I wasn't feeling it before, but now I'm feeling it, right? And then I started to kind of think, okay, could this be theirs that I'm picking up on?
okay.
And then I would clear it. I'd clear it, and then it goes away. And I'm like, okay,
Hmm,
well, that wasn't me. I was just picking up on their stuff.
hmm,
And so I've had a number of occasions like that to where I started to see a pattern.
right,
And now, so when I do have something like that, I'm just aware of it. I consciously clear it, because we can control how we feel in a way, right? We can
yep,
choose to feel a certain way. We can use our intention to clear certain energies. We can bring in energy. We can shield. We can do all kinds of stuff
right.
with energy.
Yeah. So it's kind of a still, it's a journey to me personally that I go through, and I'm learning different things, I'm applying them, and so I'm kind of like happy that I'm having to have that kind of experience, because you can learn a lot from it. How did you come to realize that you can shift energies like that? And how do you actually do it, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it's visualization, right? So if I'm
Mm,
feeling something, I'll do some breath work at first, kind of relax, bring in source energy. I bring in divine light, right, and I clear those areas. I charge up my chakras. I get rid of any stagnant energy that I have there, and just it's almost like you're washing out that area, and you're bringing in fresh, clean, vibrant energy that is going to flow, right? Because you want flow, right? You never want stagnation, regardless of what it is, right? I mean, think of
mhm.
like water, right? What happens with water when it's stagnant?
Yep, it always flows. Yep.
Well, you want it to flow so it doesn't get diseased, right?
Mm,
Healthy always, it's about that chi. If that flow of chi through your meridians is not flowing, then you're going to have problems. And so I just bring that in. I bring in that energy, and then I move that energy into that area, and I have it kind of renew that area energetically.
Right. And so I want to give my perspective to clients or like viewers,
Mm.
um, that everyone feels things differently, and from my experience to working with people in another state of being, um, there's people that are more visual and people that are more sensitive, and there's people that have like clearer knowledge. They're just knowing, they have that deeper knowing. Some people might have like auditory experiences and other things like that. And so if somebody thinks about energy or chi or something that sound like maybe too out there for them, they might just experiencing it differently, not exactly like you or I might experience it.
Yeah.
Because I, for example, feel more than like seeing a lot. You want to share how do you perceive energy or chi?
Yeah, so me personally, I've always been. I kind of do a little bit of all of them, but my kind of most dominant is I feel. I'm an empath. I feel things, but I also have the knowings as well. So like I'll have, and every now and then I'll have auditory. I'm not super visual, but I mean I'm trying to kind of expand on that just by using my imagination a little bit more, right? Kind of being
Right.
more consistent with using that and kind of bringing in those the imagery, right? Because the imagery can be helpful to kind of
It actually is very helpful because your mind does not perceive everything as like you think it does. So if you imagine something in the mind, there's no time and space, and everything just happens, and everything it's real. So if somebody says, "Don't think of an orange elephant," then your mind will just bring up an orange elephant. So your mind is constantly doing that stuff for you, and then to help people get a grasp on that topic, I would say, for a building, for example, to become an actual building and to become a masterpiece, or for a sculpture or something, whoever it's producing it has to envision it in their mind and then bring it in from their vision into the physical and lay out the blueprints or do something else for it to become reality. So anytime you do something with the mind, it doesn't matter if you're visualizing energy that you're moving or something else, that actually is becoming reality because the mere thought that you're, bringing it to fruition and you're imagining it, that actually helps it become true for you.
yeah, absolutely. Everything we've ever created, right? Anything that we've
Mhm.
ever invented or created or brought forth into the world started off as an idea, as a vision, as a picture of something, an idea of something, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's part of creation, part of manifestation. The way I look at it, we're spirit beings, not we're spirit and biological beings at the same time, right? So we're kind of like a combination, but we're connected to everything, and we can create. We can co-create with spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, and that's what we're here to do. And we have more or less a blank canvas that we can work with, right? We could pretty much,
Yep.
you could choose whatever you want to do. You could do if you really want to do it. You want to become an actor. You want to become a pilot. You want to build homes. Whatever it is you want to do, you can do. You can manifest if you
See,
want.
but that's the thing. I think from my personal observation is that people are having really poor attention span, and I know from myself that I can't concentrate. I mean, I'm getting better and concentrating in an idea and in bringing it to life, but now with different types of things that are happening, or like going through like TikTok, and you're looking for that like juice or something that'll get you going from the one thing to the next thing to the next thing.
Yeah, the
I'm
dope.
noticing, yeah, I'm noticing that our attention span, it's not as what it's supposed to be.
No.
And And if I compare it back to yogis or text, there were do different exercises in not only yogis but even Tibetans. Like I read different literature, and they have exercises where they'll sit and stare at a candle, and just be focused on that flame or something for a long time to be able to have that really focused concentration. So when they do that, nothing that the mind brings in can influence that. Because like the mind can bring up different things, different stories. Its job is to remind you if you haven't paid your bills or something else. What are your thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, I mean, look, we have, especially in our society today, we have a tremendous amount of distractions that have really, really impacted our attention span, and it's unfortunate, right? Because I think it's robbing a lot of people of like a better quality of life. Because I feel like for you to really have an impact in life and to kind of do the things that you want to do, you want to have a good long attention span, right? Because meaningful things take time to develop, and being able.
Not only that, but imagine you set the idea or intention to go buy bread, but then you end up in the gym.
Right.
Aren't you gonna feel like a crazy person in that idea if you just go by whatever your mind brings up to you?
Yeah,
Like,
having
let's
like
have some pizza, and you're like, yeah, great idea, let's go for pizza or whatever. Would you say that that'll be like something unusual for somebody to experience?
well, that's chaotic, right? So that's chaotic
Yeah,
of
yeah.
right? So it's all over the place. It's choppy. It's not consistent. You don't have a clean signal, and that's what you want. You want a clean signal without all the noise, right? So if you can get rid of the noise, right, and yeah, but absolutely, I think this is a big problem in our society, and we do have to like really make a concerted effort to be able to like you know kind of nourish our attention span. So like I do stuff that most people don't do. I mean, as an example, I have a podcast I listen to, and it's a 7 to 8 hour podcast. Okay.
Mhm.
Most people don't have the attention span to sit through something like that, right? But
Right.
I do, right? But that's because I love in-depth information, and I love to do deep dives and stuff like that. But the more you do it, the better, the easier it gets, because we weren't always like this. I think it's a function of the society that we live in with all the flashy distractions we have everywhere. It's hard to, I think, if we were living 500 years ago, we wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah, life was much simpler then. They get up, no TV at home, nothing else. They'll go do the work. They come back home, and they go to sleep, eat dinner, or whatever they were doing back in the day.
Well, they were
Simple,
using
simple
their
stuff.
imagination more, right? They were telling stories. They were staring at the stars and imagining.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They kept their imagination going. I
That
don't know. I had an interesting conversation today where the topic of like storytelling and like reading books came up,
right.
and it was like when you look at it on the TV, it's already framed for you to like what exactly you can see. Like maybe it's a winter day that you're looking at or something else, but if you read a book, no two people will imagine the same thing because they're memories and everything else that they have that they're coming up, it's going to be the same. So if you think of it that way, it'll probably be beneficial to not as um, consume as much as media as some people do, um, and use alternatives to stimulate your imagination. Because if we circle back, we're just talking about like how imagination creates reality and how you can bring things to life.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you're watching TV, you're not actively engaged. It does put you in a trance state. I mean,
I know.
a hypnotist would know, like, a
I
good
know.
thing
I
that
was gonna say that.
turn off.
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think they have that cell shop in the middle of the night, like at 2 a.m.? You're in a
Right.
dark room, everything is dark, and you have focused attention on that box in the front of you, and your attention is there, and your relaxed state, your body is relaxed, your mind is relaxed. So even if you're not paying as much attention, all that stuff comes directly to your mind. And
Subconscious.
so if right, the subconscious mind. So in if you pay attention to a lot of those things, they have direct commands. What some use in hypnotism, and a direct command will be like, by now, follow us, like in other things that like that and that nature, which are direct commands to your subconscious mind. Because again, the subconscious mind doesn't even understand what negation is. So if you keep telling yourself, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, it's like, I want this, it's like, I want this, there's no negation there, there's no. So
Right.
you kind of have to be mindful of like how you're phrasing things in a positive way. So there's no negation, but like phrasing it in a way that your deeper mind will understand.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right on with, and not even that. Like I can think of other situations where you might be driving down the road, you're
Yeah.
behind your car, and you're focused on the road. Your attention it's on the road, so you have a focused attention. The
Right.
car is running. You're not consciously shifting your gears. This is all subconscious that's happening, and and so when you're in a trance, the radio it's working in the background, and you might hear a commercial or something that sinks directly in your subconscious mind.
Right. But you know what? There is a big difference between a commercial on the radio, or not even a commercial. Let's just say the radio
Mhm.
is the TV. Because the radio, you're actually a little bit more actively engaged because you're envisioning what they're talking about in your brain, right?
Right.
But reading is even on a different level, and for sure. But yeah, so like I used to tell people, I call the TV, right, the hypnotist in the corner. So
Yeah.
Yanko in
And
the corner.
well, I don't want to like bring out anything negative
Yeah,
with hypnotism. So part of the stuff that I do when I do presentations and I do demonstrations for people, and I tell them it's not a mind control thing. It's not like I can go and make you bark like a dog or make you into something. It's a cooperation, and I'm basically helping you. Get benefit out of the trance state that you're experiencing, or help you even notice that you're getting in a trance state, because trance happens naturally. Like you entrance yourself a couple of times during the day. That's something natural now that a
yeah,
lot of the people that are discovering things about that and doing research are finding out. It's not something that it's artificially made. Like it's not like you're taking some kind of chemicals or something to alter your mode of operation.
right.
It's a natural state that just happens.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you could be working in the garden in a trance state or walking. You know,
Right. So a lot of people do it when they're not even knowing it. Like you might be daydreaming
right?
when you're working about your vacation and you're like daydreaming, but it feels real to you. Even so, you're typing, you might be thinking beach, sunshine, other
Right.
things, and your overall mood might change, and you might be smiling and working, and you're not even there. You're in total trance.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah,
I've been there many times, my friend.
yeah.
Many
But to
times.
circle back, what else, what kind of other tools are you using and other things that might be interesting for our viewers to hear about, or maybe even look into and do a little research on, or who knows, something that might be able to help them achieve their goal, whatever that is.
Yeah, I mean, I employ a lot of different things. I do have a lot of frequency tools. So I have things like Rife machines. I have the frequency bioresonance mats. I have this like kind of like an EMF converter that puts out the Schumann resonance to support your body. I also do microcurrent. So I'm a big fan of microcurrent. Um, and nutrition's huge, right? I'm a big fan of good, clean nutrition because I think that can really help you as well. Um, Exercise, just going out, getting in nature, meditating, breath work. mindful, employing a little bit of mindfulness in your day, prayer, whatever you want to call that, however you want to employ that. It's really just about becoming more conscientious of who you are and how you move through the world, really.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I work with a lot of different things. I even have these little patches I wear. These are little patches that actually use patterns that send signals to your brain, right, for different things. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great tools out there. My water, I infuse frequencies into my water. I clean my water. So I'm doing a lot of different things to kind of enhance my quality of life in whatever way I can, because God knows we are under a total complete onslaught of, like, whether it's toxins and poisons in your food, pesticides, frequencies, you name it, stuff in the air. We need to kind of
Right.
be proactive.
Even genetically modified foods might not even be um, okay for everyone. And again, not everyone is the same. In my personal opinion, I think everyone it's very unique, and there's no double of anyone. Everyone serves a purpose,
Yeah,
and that's what we hear.
that's why you have a unique fingerprint. Your eyes are unique. Everything about you is unique. As a matter of fact, you actually have a unique energy signature form.
Right.
I mean, I could actually work on people remotely, and
Mhm.
that's testament to that you could tap into someone on the other side of the planet and work on them
I
energetic.
mean, yeah, I understand that, but do you want to explain that a little more in depth and how you actually do that? And then I'll give you my take on that, like working remote with somebody, an energy level.
So the way I like to explain it is, well, I'll start again with frequency, energy, and vibration. We're a part of a field. We're connected to everything that is, okay. And what makes you up, as an example, there's frequencies everywhere, right? Your brain works on this stuff. Your every cell works on this stuff. All
Yep.
your organs, everything collectively works on it. So you have an overarching field that keeps you together. That's unique to you.
Hmm.
So just think about, like, the idea of, like, your cells die and then they replicate, right? Like, your liver isn't the same liver you had 20 years ago.
Right.
It's a totally new liver with totally new cells. But how are you able to, like, maintain your identity, of who you are and what you are, right? Even though all the cells that were there 10 years ago are no longer there, they're gone. Totally brand new cells.
Yep.
Something is keeping all that together and orchestrating all that, right?
Right.
And this is your unique signature form, right? So this is your body's intelligence that's keeping it all together. This is your identity. So I like this. We've all had this experience, right? So we all emit energy and we receive energy. We're sending out information and we're receiving information. You can substitute energy with information, right? So we've all had this experience where maybe we're going about our day, and suddenly someone that we haven't seen or talked to comes to mind.
Yep.
A friend, someone we haven't talked to in years, or whatever it is. And then suddenly we get a call from them or we run into them. We've all had that experience, right?
Yep. Yep.
Well, what is that? Okay, so what happened there? Something happened there. You didn't just randomly pick up on it. That person was probably more likely thinking about calling you. Okay,
And then you picked up on it before they even call you.
and that information went out into the field, into the quantum field.
Yeah.
And because it had your IP address, so to speak, you picked up on it.
I'm going
And
to circle back on the IP address, but have a thought that I want to share before I circle back to that. So I know from experience of working with people in trance that time and space does not exist.
Mm.
And I know that because they might experience time and space differently when they're in an outer state of being. So to me, it's a no brainer that I can work with you when you're on the other side of the world, because it's connected, and time does not really exist, or space. It's part of the whole thing. um, so that's the thought I had in how I recognize it in my day-to-day operation, from personal experience. And
Right.
then when you mention IP, I want to ask you something. What do you think about the AI technology that it's getting so famous now? Like, what are your thoughts?
I mean, look, AI could be a very, very useful tool, but it could also be, misused, just like anything else. I mean, if you look at any technology we've ever created, the problem with what humans tend to do is we weaponize stuff, right?
Hmm.
And we've always weaponized stuff, and that's where it becomes a potential danger, is when we use um, AI as a weapon. And if we start to weaponize our weapons with through AI, right? And so I don't believe, it'll come to a sentient being like we are, right? Because I don't think that could be replicated here. But it can look very similar to a sentient being, but not really be a sentient being, right? Um, and I think that at some point, we really have to guard against the dangers of letting AI be really running everything. I mean, you look at, like, even what they were doing in Gaza. The Israelis were running an AI program there that was essentially, picking the targets, of who they wanted to target. And part of the what they put into the algorithm of the AI was like, or for every one target, we're willing to kill 100 innocent people. I mean, um, and that was like with almost zero human interaction. It was all just being done through AI.
Well, I can't really comment on that because I don't follow media a lot. Like, I don't watch a lot of the news and other stuff that are going on. Because in my personal experience, I experience what I want to experience, that it's close to me, which I have ability to change. And if it's something that I'm not even know that it's real or not real, I don't involve myself. But here's Terry. He has a question. He says, "What it is that when something happens and I feel it happen before, or I saw it before? What are your thoughts on that?"
Yeah, I think everything. So, like you mentioned, there is no time, right? So the way I like to think, of time is essentially. So they call it the space time continuum, right? And so it's movement through space. It's time. That's what time is. It's a useful tool for us. But essentially, Tarek, is what you're doing is you're a quantum energy being that received information, and that's what it was. You're receiving information, and that information could be from something that, maybe um, something you perceive happening, or maybe like your subconscious mind is picking up on information that's coming in, right? That is of All right. Let's talk about dimensions, right? Let's just talk about dimensions, right? So
Okay.
let's say, so you have your 2D, 3D, 4D, right? So we'll say 4D is time, right? So now 4D is kind of this way, okay, versus a 3D where we actually really are working in the 4D currently. But um, so imagine yourself, you're on a trail, and there's a hill. You can't see beyond the hill, but you're walking on the trail. So as you're walking on the trail, you have your senses are picking up what you can see up to a certain level, right? Or up to a certain amount. But now if you have a bird or a drone in the sky watching, looking at that person walking on the trail, they can see what's in the future for that person down the road that you can't see, right? Because you're just operating on this level. And when you if you go to a higher level, you can see
Yeah,
more.
you don't have the awareness of it. Yeah, and I'm picking up on what you're saying, and that actually makes sense. Never thought of it that way. That you're because you're experiencing space time and you haven't got to that point in space time, you haven't been able to experience that, but that already happened, and you kind of have the sense from it because now you're activating more of your sense feel abilities that you have, and you can pick up on it before even time came to pick it up. Does that make sense the way I'm understanding it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the probability of that happening based on the conditions of the environment, right? What's
Right.
there as part of the environment,
Yeah,
you
because everything changes. Like you can change and choose something else in the next second or millisecond, and everything just keeps on happening.
right, but your higher self isn't constrained to here. Your higher self can be above where you have a wider view,
Right.
right?
I was gonna say usually it's. I'm not saying that there's no higher self or anything, but I was gonna say that usually there is consciousness to me and how I understand it, and then consciousness contracts down to you, me, birth plans, and other things. So you
Yeah.
have so many of the constraint that you can like feel, sense, hear, smell, whatever that is, and so when you start to expand that contraction that you believe you are, then you get more sense to everything else because you're connecting more. So yeah,
So I have a question for you.
go ahead.
So you said you had a near death experience.
Right.
So do you recall, did you have any recollection of that?
I have a little bit of recollection. It was more of a my personality felt like I was dying and it didn't want to die.
Hmm.
And in the same time, when I was dying, I had everything that happened from the birth to now happen and just kind of go through. And and then I had that sense that I've done that many times, and I also had the sense of like I'll do better next time. And I was just kind of like because there was a fear of dying, but
Right.
then there was like kind of like it's okay, I'll do better next time, and that was it. But there was like a time where everything just kind of went through and just went from like beginning to where I was in that place,
Hmm.
and it was this fear of dying, which I don't experience anymore. Like
Right.
I don't have that fear of dying anymore because like I don't think I am this body anymore, and that's my personal experience. But then after that, I come to be, and everything was just kind of pixelated, and everything come like whoop, like pixels from a TV, and then I had visual. Does that make
Right.
sense the way I'm explaining it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I haven't had a near death experience, I don't think, but I've definitely been out of body, where I popped out of my body and my consciousness or my mind or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what to call it, right? Your spirit, something, my awareness had been
Yeah.
separated from my physical body, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I've had that happen to me a few times, and that first of all taught me something, right, about the nature of what we are a part of, but also helped me kind of like shift my perspective, right? Because that's part of, I think this has been a part of my whole journey, right? And so we clearly, from we're clearly just not flesh and bones, and there's something more to us. Like, what is the mind? What is that? Where can you point to the mind? Is it in your brain? Or is it outside of you? Does it?
I don't think anybody knows what it is, and
Yeah,
everyone has a different idea of what it is. And I stopped trying to find out what it is because, like, you might feel it down here. Like, if you ask somebody, "Where do you think you are in the body?" and then they might say, "I'm here," or they might say, "Oh, I feel like I'm here in the chest where the heart is," or they might be in the head. It kind
yeah.
of gives you an idea of where they are, where they think they perceive they are at.
Wow.
And yeah, so I think it's a journey that everyone has to like travel on their own and find their way around. It's 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 a happy party. That's what I think it is. We're here to have fun and have joy and happiness and be able to relate to one another and help each other. And I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah, it's a journey for
And
all, right? We're all on the journey, and that's the thing. I mean, we really. I think if we all kind of just took that perspective every day, I think we number one we would treat each other differently, right? But we would definitely be more joyful about life.
right. And on that note, I want to wrap it up because it's been an hour. It was been a great pleasure talking with you and bringing you out to our audience. Um, we miss Kerri. Kerri had to help somebody, and the idea wasn't, or the situation for her wasn't ideal. But Kerri, we love you much. We'll see you next Friday, Kerri. And do you want to have any kind of parting words to our audience? I'm going to bring up your contact information once again on the screen for everyone that wants to contact Raj. You can scan the barcode or go to getthefrequency.com. That'll get you to contact information and more information on that event that is running tomorrow. Is it tomorrow?
Yeah, it is tomorrow, 11 p.m. I'm sorry, 11 a.m. Central Time. And so that link is actually a link tree. So there's a bunch of links. So you have to go down to the calendar and then you click on the calendar and then you could see tomorrow with all the information and then you can join. But primarily, Yanko, I just want to thank you for letting me be here. It's been fun. It's always fun seeing you out in the world when we run into each
I
other.
know we resonate with one another. I really respect your time. I really, I'm grateful for you showing up on our show for today and sharing your knowledge, tools, and other things with our audience. Hopefully, somebody will find some value on that. And again, I want to ask our audience to contact us, share any opinions that they have or questions or anything. Just get in touch with us. We're here to help. If anything, we can, and it doesn't have to be a question. If you have anything you want to say or um, don't agree with us, just let's have a conversation. And uh, Tarek, thank you, brother. I see you asked us this, but what's my opinion on that and what happens multiple times? I'm not quite sure, Tarek, if you were referring to out of body experiences or anything, uh, but I'm sure we can clear this out. And I can get in touch with you and we can talk about it some more. So, in that note, thank you very much. I'm gonna wrap it up, and we'll see you again. And
All
thank
right,
you, Tarek.
take care, guys.